Welcome, everybody. We are quickly learning why former President Joe Biden did pardon people on his way out of office. We are learning why, thanks to Attorney General Pam Bondi, who yesterday announced a number of new lawsuits. She calls it filing charges. It's not even clear she knows what she's doing, but that's a whole different story. Do any of these Trump people know what they're doing? But the bigger picture is that this is likely only the beginning. Now, let me set the stage for you. Donald Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi was selected sort of as a backup candidate after the nomination of Matt Gaetz to that office completely imploded thanks to not only his lack of qualification, which Pam Bondi shares, but also the cartoonish nature of allegations against him regarding sex trafficking underage girls and so many other things. So, as I said at the time, Pam Bondi or whoever Trump was likely to choose to replace Gaetz, they were likely to be less cartoonishly unqualified, but still unqualified and still doormat loyalists. Why do I call them doormat? Because they lay down and get walked all over by Trump as if they were a doormat to Donald Trump's bathroom or wherever. And indeed, that is what Pam Bondi is. This is the same Pam Bondi, former Attorney General of Florida, who once famously accepted a donation from Donald Trump and then said, you know what, I'm not going to open up an investigation into Trump University. She has now announced that the Department of Justice is suing the state of New York. The reason? Allegedly failing to enforce immigration laws. Here she explains it. This is a lawsuit targeting New York Governor Kathy Hochul, State Attorney General Letitia James, who of course went after Trump, the state's Department of Motor Vehicles for issuing licenses to undocumented immigrants, which, by the way, makes a lot of sense, and I'll talk about that in a moment. The lawsuit was filed in Albany County Federal Court. Bondi says this is the new DOJ. You don't have to read between the lines to realize this is only the beginning.
I was in the West Wing swearing in Tulsi Gabbard, and so I just came straight back here. So thanks for being patient with us with the delay. We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder.
Now, I have to just mention, I don't know that she has filed charges. Is a lawsuit considered charges? Is it a legal semantic question? I'm not even sure she knows what she's saying, but forget about that. You always have to give them that they don't know what they're talking about.
Who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans, American citizens, and angel moms, like the mom standing right behind me, who you're going to hear from in a moment.
Okay, so what is this about? At the center of this lawsuit, or charges, as she describes them, is New York's green light law. And that is a law that allows undocumented immigrants to get a driver's license. And the law specifically says the DMV cannot share immigration status with federal authorities. And Bondi says that puts law enforcement officers at risk, saying if these officers pull someone over, don't know whether that person is documented or undocumented, they don't know who they're dealing with, they are now at risk. And this is part of the attack on, they love to use the term sanctuary cities, states, and organizations, but much of what it is we are going to do our duty. We are not going to go out of our way to assist federal authorities. And if you understand states' rights, then you can't possibly argue with the legality of that. They want to pretend that this is a lawsuit over immigration enforcement, but it's not. It's really a political statement. They're saying we're going after New York. They're also suing Illinois. They're sending a message to the base, which is we are tough on immigration in the sense of we are going to target places that we see as liberal or left-wing strongholds. But in practice, what this is the suspension of the rule of law in favor of an authoritarian, dictatorial regime. Everyone who has ever spoken out against the regime is potentially going to be the subject of persecution. Does the David Pakman show need to worry? We, our little cohort of progressive media outlets, we've all been texting saying, is it likely we will be targeted or not? I've gotten emails from people saying, David, you do need to worry. Just folks like you, people in the audience who say it's abundantly clear that there is that they are going to target folks like you. I don't doubt that they would love to. My hope is that we're just small enough potatoes that they won't get to us. But Pam Bondi is making it clear that this is only the beginning. She's hinting that other so-called sanctuary states and sanctuary cities could be facing similar legal action. She says they need to comply with the administration's policies and so on and so forth. The practical question is whether these lawsuits will succeed, because legal experts are looking at the substance of the lawsuits and pointing out immigration enforcement is primarily a federal responsibility. The Supreme Court has repeatedly ruled states cannot be forced to assist federal authorities in enforcing immigration policy. So there's all these layers. We know that these lawsuits aren't really about enforcing immigration policy. They're about political retribution against perceived blue states, blue cities, people who went after Donald Trump for reasons that were based in fact and valid. Layer number two is that they want to argue the states are responsible for anything bad that happens if they don't assist federal authorities. Well, what the Supreme Court has held is that states have no legal responsibility to do so. Because immigration enforcement is, at its core, a federal function, you can't, as the federal government, say, even though this is exclusively within our purview, we are going to hold cities and states accountable because we weren't able to do our jobs the right way, the way we wanted to, the way we otherwise would have been able to do. The Supreme Court has said they have no responsibility to do that. So Bondi's lawsuit is clearly more about politics and optics than it is about policy or enforcement. But the critical thing is you have to remember, even frivolous lawsuits, even baseless lawsuits, even lawsuits that are ultimately dismissed can still completely ruin your life. And that's exactly what Pam Bondi is trying to do. Well, I wrote a book after a long journey and a ton of work. I am really thrilled with how it turned out, and I hope you'll read it. The book is called The Echo Machine, and in a nutshell, it looks at how American politics got so broken, who has already figured out solutions, and how we can try to fix it and stop the terror of Trump for the next 4 years. With Trump winning this election, The Echo Machine couldn't be more relevant, not only a warning about how we got here, but also about what might be coming and how to prevent the worst outcomes. We've got to stay engaged. We need a plan, and that's what the book is about. There's a belief out there that unless you have corporate media behind you, you can't have a successful political book launch, that it's not possible. I think we can prove that wrong. Order The Echo Machine today at davidpakman.com/echo on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Audible, Kindle, anywhere that books, ebooks, and audiobooks are sold. You can also call any local bookstore and say, please order me The Echo Machine by David Pakman. Wherever you get the book, you'll get the free pre-order perks, including the signed book plate. Head to davidpakman.com/free book stuff after ordering.